He's the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. There he is. Try to top that kind of energy and positivity, Aljo. I mean, golly, you know who Diamond Dallas Page is? Have you ever heard of him?
Come on, who doesn't know DDP?
That's right.
What just happened to my microphone?
Oh my gosh, it just broke.
I don't know.
It needs some of those power cuffs. It needs some of those power cuffs to stay strong.
Entrance.
It's a limp.
It was just working a minute ago.
It's a limp mic.
Oh my, that's just fascinating. I'm actually really upset. This is an expensive mic, man.
And a great setup you have there.
Well, not anymore. Not with this the Limpy D.
Wow. That is crazy. Frank, can you help him out over there?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, you nailed it. Well done. Thanks for doing this, man.
I was starting to sweat.
Appreciate it. Good to have you back on. Good to talk to you. You've been grappling all over the place. I was wondering if this was like this was like the next step for you. You're just going to get into the grappling business and be done with MMA. Is it hard to get the UFC to okay you to do this? Is that a thing, or did you just do it?
Well, I just did it, but I don't know if it was like ever really a thing that they were upset about. I just know I didn't have a fight scheduled.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a fight anytime soon, so it's kind of like, well, why not? And I think one of the things we had to add in was like no heel hooks or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
like twisting, manipulation of the ankle, which could twist the knee. And I mean, I would have been okay with it because I know how to relatively defend it, or I just tap. But they put that in there just to kind of protect the fighters.
You enjoy it? I know you had that one.
Man.
You had that one at the end of December where you were a little frustrated, right?
It's just I don't like the play on the rules. And don't get me wrong, there's sport jiu-jitsu. There's jiu-jitsu for fights. There's jiu-jitsu for the real-life application. The real-life application of what jiu-jitsu was for self-defense, the smaller person being able to defend themselves against a bigger person. And if we're talking about viewership and growing the sport, I just believe that these hardcore jiu-jitsu enthusiasts who are okay with sitting on their butt, that's okay. But if you want to build a platform, you want to get more people involved, that ain't going to do it. You got a huge platform. You got a big main event. And that's what you do. And I even said it during the match, like, this is what you want to give. I'm like, you know how many people are watching this? I'm asking this guy, this is what you want to do. You want to engage like this? I'm like, you're dragging your ass on the mat and you're pretending that this is you trying to keep the fight going. Like, no. Any other sport, boxing, we start neutral. If one guy's throwing punches and the other guy's defending, he's absorbing damage, even if he's defending beautifully. As long as it's hitting on the arms, he's taking damage. He didn't throw a single punch. We know who's winning. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, we start neutral. If you get taken down or if you sit down, you get docked a point, or should I say you give up 2, now 3 in college wrestling because you're now on a defensive position. You got taken down. You gave up a takedown. But jiu-jitsu is the only sport where you can sit and not be penalized. How does that even make sense? And because you're being aggressive with attacking, you are docked. I don't know. I just think it's a weird play on the rule set, and to try to say that I'm the one playing up on the rule set. Like, I get where you're coming from, but that's not applicable to any other sport. So why is this the only sport that is super weird that we're going to glorify and justify? Well, learn how to pass guard. That's what you want to say, learn how to pass guard. Well, the fight starts on the feet. Well, how about you learn how to get a takedown? How about you learn how to set up your offensive attacks? I'm not saying I'm the best leg lock guy, but I know my entries. So why am I going to play into your game and give you what you want? You know what I mean? So then it just plays a game of it takes 2 to tango, right? We need 2 to have a good dance. And thankfully, Chase Hooper in my last one, man, he was a willing dance partner. And he even had submission attempts. And even on the ground, I went into his guard because at least he's being aggressive in a different way, not trying to, I went for the legs. And then I defend the legs, and then it looks like he went for a submission attempt. That doesn't even make sense. So you're telling me if I keep defending and you keep attacking like that, you win, although you sat in a defensive position and I'm in an offensive position. In what world can you play defense and win off of your back in a combat setting like that? It's a very weird one. And thankfully the last one wasn't that. You know, even if I lost to Chase, I don't give a shit. I just didn't want a boring match. I want to have fun, man. I want to have a fun, entertaining match, and I want to grow the sport of jiu-jitsu because I actually really do enjoy it, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it, especially if they understand what was actually going on.
Do you think that the match against Chase went differently because he is an MMA fighter and like the mentality is different than just a guy who focuses on sport jujitsu?
That's really hard for me to say because I don't know what Chase's mentality was. I'm pretty sure his motivation or his purpose in that was to go out there and finish me the
Right.
same way he finished Clay Guida, who's another high level wrestler. I think it's just different when you have a wrestler who actually knows a little bit of jujitsu. The same thing. I went out there with the mentality looking to finish as well, but of course, a guy who knows what he's doing defensively and offensively, you got to worry about certain traps and things like that. And maybe the 3-minute rounds made it a little bit harder to kind of get going, but also you also have to kind of get going right away just because you only have 3 minutes to work. So I don't know if his mindset of being an MMA fighter, like, I don't know if that really changed anything. I think he would have attacked me the same exact way. And he had some really good stuff, man. He had two cool triangle attempts that he went for. He had a guillotine that was relatively tight. It was like all the way around the neck, and I had to roll to get out of there. And I think there was one other submission. Oh, the mirror lock that he went for. Those are like the real threats. I went for like a knee bar. I tried to threaten with the head and arm. I passed his guard into mount twice. So there was a lot of jiu-jitsu going on, man. And I even for me, with like 2 minutes on the clock to dive for a leg lock, knowing that I could end up on bottom. And now that I think that counts as a sweep, I could be completely wrong, but I think that counts as a sweep. I'm willing to put myself in those positions because, like I said, I want to have a good match. I wanted to make it fun. I want to challenge myself. I want to make sure I'm going against bigger, more, I guess by the dictionary on paper, the better guy, and see what I can do. So I thank Chase for that. And I even told him during the match, like at the end of the match, I think it'd be good if we got some training in with each other. I could help him with the wrestling, and I think he could help me with just being a longer, dangly body, especially because I'm fighting Calvin Kattar, a guy who's got really good height as well. And that would be good looks for me. He might not be the best striker, but at least it would give me that range, and it could kind of give me some things to like I could work and maybe use in a jiu-jitsu setting against Calvin Kattar.
Sure. So are you done now with the grappling because April 13th is coming up, or are there any other matches?
Yeah, I got one April 1st.
Oh, wow.
And no, I'm joking.
Oh, fuck. I was like, what? That's okay.
April 1st, April Fool's.
Oh,
No,
right.
I'm done.
Okay.
No, I'm done for now. But I told the guys after this fight, I want to stay active. I'm going up a weight class. The weight cut, we were actually just looking at this last night. There was like a lot of editing I was doing, like skits and stuff. You've probably seen some of the ones that Merab has been doing lately.
Yeah.
Just funny ass dude, man. We used to do a lot more of that back in like 2017, 2018, 2019. And I would do all that stuff during fight week while I'm cutting weight. But that's why I said, like, even since I felt like since the Pedro fight is when I started to feel like a big difference in my weight gain and how hard it is and my energy levels when I cut the weight to 35. So now at 45, I'm hoping that I'm going to be back to that and I'll have that energy again and I'll be able to do more fun skits and things like that. But also going back to the competitions, I could be a little bit more active because the weight cut is still going to be hard, but 10 extra pounds, man, it's a game changer. I feel like I lose a lot when I get down from 45 to 35. I feel like the best parts of me are left in the gym just because I deplete myself so much. I'm not a big guy. I'm very muscle bound. So it's just, I lose a lot of muscle in order for me to get down to get to that weight class.
So obviously this is at 45. Considering what you just said, do you think you'll never fight at 35 ever again?
I don't think I'm ever fighting at 35 ever again. Just the thought of it gives me a headache.
Oh,
it
wow.
makes me nauseous. And that's, dude, I like people tell me I wear it well and I don't look like I'm hurting. Oh, you had such a great weight cut. I'm like, I am literally dying inside. I could poker face it all I want because mentally, like, that's just the way I've always been. It's like you don't show weakness in that way. You always try to show people that you're good even when you're not. It's just always like you could be smiling on the outside, but inside is what actually matters, what's going on in here. So yeah, I might show one thing on the outside, but I know I've been hurting for a very, very long time. And I even think my past performances have kind of not been the best of me because of that. I just think, like I said, I lose a little bit of myself and leave a little bit of myself in the gym, cardio wise, I don't have the same output as I used to. And I'm kind of excited to just see what that's going to look like at 45 and see if I can get back to that guy who's in between rounds and is able to talk to the fans and yell to the crowd and just show like I'm full of energy and I'm ready to go.
Is that part of the reason why you handled the O'Malley loss so well? Not that you were happy to lose, but like maybe deep down there was a bit of a relief that you don't have to do that ever again?
Yeah, man. It was it's there's a lot of folds to that. And I know I'm gonna answer this and people are gonna say, oh, he's making excuses.
No, no,
It's the weird. No, no.
I'm asking
But this
you.
is just what people do.
I
People are
know, I
weird.
know,
Like
I
we're
know,
having an interview.
I
I'm
know.
answering the question. If people want to know how I truly do feel, like I don't care to talk about the guy anymore. I like O'Malley for me. He does not matter in the existence of my life.
No,
Like
I know, and
at
I'm
all.
not asking you about him specifically. I was just asking about the way you handled it. I thought was so impressive, and you got a lot of love for it. So maybe in the back of your mind, you were like, "Oh, maybe I just don't have to deal with 135. That's the silver lining on this pretty crappy night for me, right?"
Yeah, I mean that's the glass half full, and I'm
Yeah.
a very glass half full kind of a guy. In hindsight, I do say, and I be completely transparent. I wish, like I said, going back to the pay per view numbers. The carrot being dangled. That I mean, obviously the UFC doesn't know, and I don't know. I'm just being told like this is gonna be your biggest payday. So I'm thinking of that, and I'm just like, maybe this is my Conor Khabib moment. Maybe this is the one I can't afford to miss because it sets me up for life. So in hindsight, I would have never had accepted a fight and given my body the time to recover to properly make 135 again, even though it still takes me about 10 to 12 weeks to get down the right way because I have to slowly descend and break the muscle down in order to get down to that weight class. But being done after that, whether I won or lost, I wanted to be done with the weight class. I was over the weight cut, man. I was more than over the weight cut. And even after the loss, it wasn't like, I'm like, this is the way I look at it. I prided myself on beating people at their best all the time, never shied away from the toughest challenges. So for me as a purist, as an analyst, when I'm breaking down fights, I'm looking at tape and I'm studying, I'm trying to see how to prepare for somebody. I got to look at a matchup like that and go, well, was that the best version of this guy that he fought? Like, yeah, he won. Don't take anything away from the win. But as an analyst, as a potential opponent, I'm looking at all those X factors and like, well, what happened? What was at play here that possibly made this look like this? And there's always outside variables. The same way he had an injury coming in with his ribs. We all have our issues. We all have our problems, and we got to make do with it. We make the walk. We make the walk. So again, just as I said, have glass half full perspective. I made good money. I had a really good year. And I was able to afford my fifth house. There's a lot of silver lines that come out of it. And the other part of it is new beginnings at 145 and testing the waters. And again, testing myself. People can say whatever they want. My name is in the history books. I'm comfortable in my own skin. And here comes the people. Well, you don't need to say that if you're really that comfortable. I'm just like, all right, man, you do
Yeah.
you. I guess you're doing better than me in life. And I guess whatever makes you happy, this makes me happy. I can fight for money. I do what I do, what I love. There's nothing short of that. I'm able to afford a lifestyle that I've only dreamed about as a kid. I shouldn't be here, but thankfully things worked out the way that they did. I'm very grateful for everything, and I'm just want to see how far I can push this thing now. I hit all my goals, Ariel. Now is how high can I go? How many more mountains can I climb and see what I can do before it's all said and done at 34 years old, three-time defending UFC champion, made the money I've made. I don't want to disclose that. And being able to put up family and certain things in certain positions in life. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's what we all hope to do as fighters. And if anyone hates on that, they're just fucking weird, man. They're just weird people. So to each his own. And I'm looking forward to this one, April 13th. And I can't wait, man, because this is I'm excited because Calvin's a badass. And I'm also excited because I like to see what I can do at this weight class, going with these guys that I'm going with now, and to see how I hold up. And I'm not going to be the biggest guy, but I know I'm going to be just as strong. And I know I'm going to have the gas tank to push. And I think that's going to be my weapon. And I can't wait to see what that looks like on April 13th.
Congrats, by the way, on the fifth house. I saw you post about that, I think on Friday
Thank
or
you.
Thursday, and that's an incredible accomplishment. And, I must say, I did smile when I saw when you were added to UFC 300, because there was always this thing of like you in the UFC, and I'm like, you know what? They don't have to put you on 300. They could have put you on another card. This is a big freaking card for them, and I felt like that was a little bit of a tip of the cap to you and everything that you've done. And it's just a fascinating storyline, right? Your first fight since August, new weight class against a really tough out. Like this is a very, every day we're debating about 300. Is this 300 worthy? Is this not 300 worthy? This is very 300 worthy, if you ask me. And so that made me happy. And I'm just wondering what the process was to get to Kattar. You decide 145. How did we get to Kattar? Did they just offer you him? Did you mention that this was a good, first fight for you at 145? How did we get to Kattar as the first opponent in this new weight class?
Well, they offered 4 names, and Kattar was the highest ranked. And again, like I said, man, maybe I'm an idiot for this. Maybe I need to take the Jakar Klaus route and just go, give me the easiest opponent for the most amount of money, the Chael Sonnen route, right? But I want to fight the biggest and baddest dudes, man. Like, at the end of the day, I think that's what matters the most. How many of those guys were you actually able to beat? How did those fights look? What was your strategy like? My skill set versus his skill set. So there's a lot that goes into it. And that was the fight that made the most sense to me. He's the highest ranked out of the 4 that they offered. And I think I beat him, and I beat him in good fashion. I think, and I'm by no means am I saying I'm running through him. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. All I can do is be as confident as I can be and know I put the goddamn work in, and I'm going to be doing that. But I know if I beat him the way that I think I'm capable of doing, I think I'm right next in line for a title shot. I don't think that's too far-fetched of a thing. I mean, you look at the guys at the top that already fought for the belt. If Volkanovski wins again, I think the door is wide open. I know Evloev just had a really great fight with Arnold Allen. I know Dana shitted on that one. It's nice to see other people get to feel what I feel. They get shitted on for their performances. I'm just like, what did I do? So, I like to see Dana spread it around to Duplessis, spread it around. But yeah, we'll see what happens. This is it's a great opportunity.
And especially with Max, even if Ilya wins, and who knows, how he wins, but with Max going up to 55, if he has success there, maybe he stays there. So yeah, I could totally see that as well. And I'm just wondering, like, you're probably just about to start camp, not quite yet. It's April 13th. Like, what do you weigh now? Like, how much of a cut is it going to be to 145?
I mean, I'm still a very big boy, man. Boom.
Are you in the You're not in the 80s, are you?
Nah. I only get like that after that crazy weight cut to 35. My body just goes into, like, I don't want to say shock, but it just holds on to everything. I forget the proper technical name for it, but it's almost like survival mode. It wants to hold on to everything. And then it's really hard to lose the excess water, the excess fat. And I mean, I've been as heavy as 184, but I look like a chipmunk. And then my legs hurt. I'm chafing in the thighs. This shit don't feel good. It's not a comfortable feeling. I'm like, yeah, maybe being that big is not a good thing for me. But I walk around comfortably 70 to 75, around that range. This morning I was 170, which is good, and got a good lift in. Gonna help Merab a little bit later for his fight. And yeah, I think this weight cut is gonna be a lot smoother than I could cut the weight, man. I just get it done. Some of the guys think I'm crazy. They're like, how the hell do you do that? I'm just like, bro, I put myself in a mental place, and it's like, once I say I'm gonna do it, man, I just fucking go. I lock in and I just go. I think a lot of people to learn that some things are not gonna be easy, but if you tell yourself you're gonna do something, you hold yourself accountable, it makes it a little bit harder for you to let yourself down. And that's what I always tell myself. I said I can make this weight. I'm not gonna let myself down and miss it, So especially because you're getting paid pretty handsomely for it. It's like, what other job can I do where I can make this type of money? Yeah, I might get hurt pretty bad, but at the end of the day, this is what I chose to do, So 170 to 145 is gonna be a lot nicer. And I think I'm gonna feel big, man. I think I'm gonna feel strong. And it's weird because I see everyone today, and I'm walking around the PI and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you look big, you look big." I'm like, brother, this is the way I've looked like the last few years. I'm like, I guess maybe they just always felt that way, but it's nice to hear people saying like it looks like I'm filling out in the weight class pretty nicely. And I actually saw Taporia today. And he told me I looked big. I was like, oh man, this is. I just hope I don't have that problem at 45 the way I did at 35.
Right. That
That
is the
suck.
thing. Like we have seen guys who move up and maybe take their foot off the gas a little bit, and then it becomes harder for them because they thought they had more of a cushion. You know what I mean? So it is. I do think it's a thing. You've never really had trouble. You know, you don't miss weight. You don't do things like that. So I don't think it will be a thing. And you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens between all these other fights coming up. But I think you're in a great spot. I'm just wondering because you said something earlier that kind of like piqued my interest. How many more do you think you have? Like, how many more years do you think you have? Do you feel like this is the final push for you?
The final countdown. No.
Da-na-na-na.
Nah, I really don't know. I'm taking it one fight at a time. I think I got 6 more good fights. If I had to put a number, like I don't have a number, but I think at the rate that I can now take fights, and I mean, mind you, what I had like 4 fights in like 16, 17 months as a champ, which that's a lot, man. That's a lot of 5-round camps. And a lot of these guys, they're doing 3-round camps and you barely see them fight them. Not all the time because of their own, but I'm hoping now that these are 3-rounders, maybe I could turn them around a little bit quicker. Even if I don't become a champ, man, I would like to just set records, set goals, and make as much money as I can. Because when it's done, it's done. There is no, I want to go back in time and maybe I should have taken that fight. Maybe I should have rolled the dice. Maybe I should have canceled that vacation and did this. I don't want to have those. I don't want to have regrets. And I can see for sure that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. When I came into the sports, to UFC, I was 24 years old. Been with this company just about 10 years now. And to see the stuff that I've done over the years, man, literally 3 opponents unranked that I fought. Everybody else has been ranked in the top 15, top 10, top 5. I don't think anyone could say anything about who I am as a person, as a character, even if it's not the greatest fight. They're the toughest fights that I could get. So with that said, man, give me the best guys. I asked for Holloway. People said Holloway by setting a new record on me. I'm like, all right. So if that's how you feel, let me pony up and show you what I can do. Let me show you what the Funk Master is about. Like I said, when I put my mindset to something and I lock in, good things can happen. And that's just the way I think. That's the way I think everyone should think about themselves. So hopefully we have more than 6 left in the tank, in the chamber, and go from there. So I just hope people support me the way I try to support everybody. I try to support the fighters, even if we're in the same weight class. I just want to see fighters do well. I think Morcano was on here. He was saying something about his merch. He's doing like a 10% off thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure I did something like that too. So for anyone listening, if you use Funk Master 10, you want to get some gear, Funk Jiu-Jitsu, we got some dad hats and things like that. Funk Master 10, Aljamainsterling.com. So I want to see these guys making money. I want to see everyone getting paid because at the end of the day, this sport's unforgiving, man. So
I love that.
We're here for a short time, not a long time, as Michael Chandler.
That's right.
Typically.
Yes, that is right. Earlier we had Andy Foster on the show as well, and we were talking a lot about the downed opponent thing, which is obviously something that affected your life greatly. Oh. What?
No.
Oh, wow. I was like, what? Did he not? Maybe you just blocked it out. So I don't know if you've seen what he is recommending, but he wants to alter the rule where it's not just the hand down, weight bearing. There has to be some other part of your body, elbow, knee as well. What do you think of this?
I love it, man. People can say whatever they want. My knee was down when I fought Jan. I don't play the game of touch. I go down. If I take a bad shot, I know strategically I could take my time to get up, because if the person tries to spin around to take my back, it gives me an opportunity to stand up, gives me an opportunity to hit a Granby roll, or it gives me an opportunity to look for a reversal off their transition to the back control. I could get in and get back in on the legs. So strategically, this is how I train. So when guys get to that position, the Evloeva was weird because he was standing straight up and just put his hand down. I was like, brother, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, get on his hands or like commit to being down so that there's no issue. I thought all the knees were technically legal except the last one, but that's like the only one he actually put his knee down. So the other ones is just like, well, you're putting yourself in this weird position And I agree with it. People are probably gonna say, "Oh yeah, sure, you benefited from." Like I didn't benefit. I didn't do that. Two completely different things. Took a bad shot. Jan did a great job. He stopped it. I sat there trying to get his hands off my head so I could stand up without getting blasted in the face, and he blasted me in the face anyway. So I don't know. I think it's good. It gives way more clarity, and I think Foster said it right. They set the rules up to make it more safe. Now I think with the intent of, well, if you put your hands down, you're screwed. So now you actually have to sit or put your whole knee down.
Yeah.
So pick a side that you want to be on. You want to be standing or you want to be grounded. And I think from there, people are going to have a lot more decision making in real time because it happens like this. And you got to decide what you want to do. And that could be the difference between winning, getting TKO'd, or getting out of a tough position and avoiding big damage.
By the way, you mentioned Max earlier. Was that ever discussed?
I asked for it.
Yeah, I loved it. No.
They said they had other plans for him, but they didn't want to disclose what it was. Well, I guess we see what it is now.
Yeah.
So, and Max deserves it, man. Him and Gaethje, two really badass dudes,
sure.
man. They fought the who's of the divisions, and Max is someone I trained with a couple years ago. I think we both fought at UFC 193. Was that Weidman, Rockhold, and Jose Aldo and Connor?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And we fought on that.
That was 194. 194.
194. And we fought on that week because it was 3 cards back to back. I fought at the Cosmo. He fought on that card, I think, against Jeremy Stevens. And he had a great fight. We took the bus on the way to the airport and we just got to talking. I was like, dude, I would love to come out to Hawaii, come train with you guys. And we were both still making our rounds coming up. It's just kind of crazy to see where we both ended up. I was 4-0 at the time in the UFC, 3 finishes in a row. He just came up with a finish. And it just felt like a good partnership. And then we ended up training again one more time, I think in like 2017. And it was like, I think 1 or 2 sessions because Max, he does his own thing. And yeah, it's just kind of cool to see like full circle. Now here we are. So I don't know. We'll see.
I remember that Cosmos show vividly because it felt like your real coming out party with the chain and the hair. And I think you danced after. And I think Paige was on the card as well. And maybe even Sade. Northcutt, yeah. So it felt like this like push of young new faces, right? There was something about that that presser at the end because you guys were all sitting up there together, and I was like, this is the new generation. Fast forward a few years later, you're the only one left by several years, and the only one that made became a champion, right? Like you're the one. You survived.
That's actually crazy. I didn't even think about that. I mean, Max was on the card too, but he wasn't on the Cosmo card. But
no, I meant that particular one because I remember that particular press conference. You were up there, Sage was up there, Paige was up there, and I was like, this feels like, a new wave coming in because you were all very relatively young and unique and generating a lot of buzz, and you're the only one that became a champion and that is still in the UFC. So something to be proud of.
No, for sure, man. I'm definitely happy with everything I've done over my career. And that was the press conference where I dropped the famous, maybe infamous line of Brian Caraway trying to get him mad enough to want to take a fight with me.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing that fight, but split, whatever. I ended up losing, but that just goes to show, like, I'm just crazy like that. I don't mind. I'll take my L's like a man. But just know I'm going to talk my shit, and someone's got to eat their words, and that's pretty much how the game goes. But I remember that press conference because afterwards, people thought I was going to shit on Dana, and he came up to me afterwards and was, we had a very good, positive interaction there. And I think I even told him, from what I remember, like, no, man, I wasn't going to do that because I was asking for more money and whatnot because Sage Northcutt had got the 40-40 on his, like, debut. I'm like, how? I just fought a 3rd-ranked guy in a row, my 2nd-ranked guy in a row, and finished a 3rd opponent in a row. And this guy's making that. Well, I should hope that I'd be making that in my next fight. I was just pointing out the obvious, like, well, what's the issue? We're both young, we're both freak athletes, and we're winning fights, but I'm fighting ranked guys. So what's up? What's up? But yeah, good times, man. Good times, and I got a lot of good stories over the years.
Perhaps a book in the works.
The tell all. No, I can't. I might get Hitman put out against me. I don't know.
Are you? You could tell the Floyd Mayweather story. That's a fun one. Everyone loves that story.
Yeah, If Floyd said he was gonna come to my fight, that motherfucker never came. He never came. Maybe I would have won the last one if he came.
Yeah, maybe UFC 300. That would be Floyd-esque. Are you going to be in Merab's corner on February 17th?
Yeah, he asked me, and I told him, I was like, dude, I know I haven't been around much of this camp because I've been doing the competitions, and I wasn't sure when he was fighting. He didn't know when he was fighting, so I was just doing stuff. And I told him, it's like, yeah, if you need somebody else, it's fine. I'm still gonna be there to support you no matter what. You're my guy. But he told me that he still wants me in the corner, so I'll be going out with him fight week, and hopefully we go out there and have another good day. I do think he has a great style to beat this guy, man. He's good, but he needs to land the knockout shot for him to win. I don't think he outpoints Merab. I don't know what his game plan really is. I think he's thinking I got to get a finish, and I think when you have that mentality, and it ain't gonna beat Merab by decision. I mean, how many guys actually beat Merab by decision? Most guys after those fights, it don't look good. So, and again, like I said, I break down fights. People can say I'm being biased, but I'm just looking at the stats, because if I saw something, I tell Merab, like, hey, this is what I think, which we have been going over some stuff. I told him, like, yo, Henry's got some tricks, man. So we gotta make sure we're dialed in for certain stuff and not biting on some of these things that he likes to set up. What I'm sure he's probably gonna have like one or two things that he's probably gonna try to set Merab up with. And I made sure I told him, like, these are some things that I would think that he would do. So let's make sure we dial that in a little bit so that we at least recognize these patterns and give us something to make sure we stay ahead of the game. And then this way we can set them up for what we want.
I love that fight, and I also love for Merab that it's a 15-minute fight. I think that plays to his advantage very much so. I just don't know how you beat Merab in 15 minutes, to be honest.
I would have thought 25 would have been better, in my opinion.
Man,
but
he's got such, like, you got to come at him with such a pace to try to finish him in 50 minutes. Who's going to do that? The guy could go for days. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, he can outlast anyone, but it's like, now you got to try to do it in a short amount of time. It's tough.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't look at it that way. I thought it would have been like Henry would have been like, I only have 15 minutes.
So just
this
go
is
for
much
broke.
better. If I had 25 minutes, it's a long night.
Yeah, I could see that too. I don't know. Honestly, I think I don't know if anyone loses to him anyone beats him at this point, because he is so damn. He should be fighting for the belt next. You know, we all know that. And I hope that he gets the title shot after this win, which I suspect he gets. Can I ask you one last one before we let you go? Yeah. Just Chito and Sean, who do you like?
Man, damn if I do, damn if I.
You could say I don't give I don't give a fuck. You could say that if you want to.
Nah, I mean, I think it's a good fight in the sense of, like, in terms of styles, it's still a good fight. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna watch. It's just kind of funny that the UFC felt the need to stack this card so much to make it feel like Sean is the draw. It's actually comical, because I know people were kind of trying to shit on the 300. But I'm like, well, a lot of those fights that people probably would have wanted were on 299 for whatever reason. I mean, it doesn't take much to kind of draw conclusions. You want to build somebody up, you build up, and you bring the other eyeballs with all these other people. And with that said, I think Chito has to play the long game. And I think while playing the long game, he needs to chip away. And I think his gas tank will start to take over. And I think his durability will start to take over. I don't think Sean is as durable. And I don't think mentally he's as tough. I think the jury's still out. Again, if he wants to say, well, I beat the greatest bantamweight just to make himself feel better, I mean, it's between myself and Dom at this point. But if he wants to use that as like, well, what does that mean about you? I'm just calling it how I see it. I'm looking at his fights from the past where he got hit and then he kind of just rolled over. The one with Chito, the Andre Sukuman. There's fights that you could look at and be like, I'm not sure where he's really at. In a 5-round fight that goes the distance, if it goes the distance, I think Chito gets stronger. But flip side, if Sean could get off on early shots, if he could get off on early shots and do a lot of damage early on, even if Chito does play the long game, I think he's going to be useless at that point. So if Sean could land big damage, make it count, let Chito wear it, I think he kind of can discourage him a little bit. He's going to have the speed advantage. And he says it, he's like, oh, Chito, you're too slow. You won't be able to hit me. But the thing about this, as a guy who uses a lot of footwork, if O'Malley wants to keep circling around the cage and using all these feints, that uses up so much energy. And he cuts a lot of weight also. Just because he doesn't cut as much as me, he's also just as lean as me. So when he cuts down, he loses a lot. And I think in a situation like that, if he's not effective with that energy output, I think that's where Chito can get him. But again, I think Sean is the better skilled, a skilled fighter in this matchup. So Chito doesn't have the wrestling background, but if he trips and slips on a banana peel again, he hurts his big toe, and Sean ends up on his back, I think the fight ends the same exact way it did in the first time. I know he was saying, "Oh, I was killing you in like 30 seconds of the fight." I mean, Leon Edwards was losing to Usman for all of 20 minutes until he wasn't. So I hate that narrative of the fight's not over to the freaking fight's over. So again, that's a tough one. I'm not sure who to pick in this one. I think Chito's a little bit more proven and more tested, and that could be the difference, man. Like, yeah, Sean beat me, but even for myself, I'm like, yo, I hate saying this because then it makes me look like I'm being a hater, but I'm just being real. It's like, I don't think you fought me at my best. This is what I think. If you want to say otherwise, hey, by all means, if that's what makes you get up in the morning to say, I'm the best bantamweight out there in the world, all right, by all means, you do have the belt. So I guess technically you are. So I just think at some point you got to be real with yourself in your analysis when you're approaching these fights. And I just hope Sean is doing the right things to get himself prepared for this. May the best man win. I don't have a dog in the race. I really don't care as long as Merab gets the next crack at the title. I think it's the right thing, especially after he beats Henry Cejudo.
I asked you about the wrong title fight. That's my bad. I should have asked you about Alex and Volk. And probably what's better for you is Volk wins, right? On that same card as Henry and Merab, right? So you'll have a front row seat to that fight. Volk wins. You win on April 13th. You're right there.
Yeah. I mean, they're both great dudes from what I know. I saw Topuria today. This is my second time encountering him. And he's been nice, cordial every single time I've met him. Even before I was at 135, I didn't really have a thought of going up anytime soon, at least. And he's been a nice guy. So I look at it like one's more of a boxer. He uses more anti-wrestling. He has really good jiu-jitsu in Topuria. And then you have Volkanovski, who mixes it up a bit more, kicks, boxing, good overhands, long arms. He's good at the clinch. He could put you against the cage and hold you there. We've seen him do that to Jose Aldo and pinned him. Couldn't do anything. And even his fight with Chad Mendes, so he's battle tested as well. That's a tough fight. But of course, we have to look at his last loss to Volk Islam. And we gotta have to wonder if that's gonna have some lingering effects going into this one. So if there's any time for Topuria to land a good one and make it count, it's gonna be in February, then giving him more time to recover where he probably can take a little bit more damage and be a little bit more durable.
Great stuff, Aljo. Really appreciate it. Check out aljamainsterling.com. Very nice website. As you said, what is it?
Thank you.
Funkmaster 10, was it the code?
Funkmaster 10, yep.
Funkmaster 10. Check out the weekly scraps right there. You see the sign and the logo and everything you got going on there. It's a very impressive setup. Shout out to Kobe and company, and good luck. Debut. All over. You're a rookie all over again. Good luck. April 13th, UFC 300. Looking forward to it. Thanks, my man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there he is. Aljamain Sterling. Always a great conversation. Appreciate him coming on. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.